Okay, so this is kind of new for me. So I'm reviewing a show where on Rotten Tomatoes it's being praised, got like a 94 and 96%, but on social media this show has no traction at all. Like this is a show where I have not seen many people talk about it after like the first 2 weeks, and on top of that, it's like just like after the finale, I've only seen a handful of tweets. Like normally on MCU finale days, you see a lot of spoilers, a lot of tweets about whatever the show is about. I've only seen so many from so many accounts. It's weird. That just shows that the MCU is really at a cross right now. Like I don't know the direction they're going in, but this is Miss Marvel. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and this is my review for Miss Marvel, MCU's brand new Disney Plus show. And essentially, we're just following this girl named Kamala, who is a very young Pakistani girl. She discovers that she has powers due to the fact that, well, once a bangle, this little, history talisman or whatever, comes onto her wrist, she finds out that she has these extraordinary superpowers and essentially has to harnesses them, finds out about her past, and now we have the origin story of Miss Marvel. Now, this is just going to be a general review of just my overall thoughts of the show. This is a spoiler. There is a spoiler warning in effect only because I'm going to be going over what happened in the finale specifically, just like 2 key events. Overall, other than that, I'm just going to be giving out my overall thoughts, what I liked, what I didn't like, and honestly just my overall opinion on like what the MCU is doing at this point, because clearly we're at a very confusing point where there's not much direction as to where this is all going, like what we're all about to do, what is this all leading up to. Essentially, I believe that either Phase 5 is going to bring all of this into fruition, or we're just going to be more confused. I'm hoping Phase 5 really just clears all of this up, but I hope we're able to look back on Phase 4, the movies and the TV shows, and realize that it was all setting up for something greater and not just, letting us down in a way. But let's get on to my review. Okay, so to start with what I liked about the show, there are 3 factors. 1, Iman Vellani as Kamala, and aka Miss Marvel. Look, she is an absolute superstar. Throughout the entire series, she's the best. She's a shining light. She's carrying the show on her back. She's honestly giving me Spider-Man Homecoming vibes, in a sense where this is what it would be like if we were following Peter throughout high school when he first got his powers. Like that's kind of the vibe this show gave off to me, like the first couple episodes. I really liked the stylistic approach they were going for, like the kid approach, and they were doing like the confetti or the chalk writing, turning it into real like thoughts and things like that. Just the stylistic way they were trying to make this show, I was on board for. They only do it for like the first episode, the second episode, and they bring it back for the finale. But other than that, they do away with it. But I really enjoyed like the stylistic, creativity that this show was trying to bring in. Kamala honestly brings this, not the show. She is the biggest standout in the show easily. She's honestly, like, before I even got to the finale, I knew that this girl was going to be a superstar in the MCU. They're setting her up to be pretty big, and I'm honestly very excited to see what she does in the Marvels. Like, I think she's going to fit in very well with the MCU. I think she's going to be a superstar, and it's honestly great to see that, girls have this as a representation for years to come. Like, she is going to put on a show. She is going to be one of the biggest standouts of the MCU. I think down the road, like, she's going to not only be one of the biggest standouts in the Marvels, like Captain Marvel 2, the Marvels movie, but I think like whenever we get to the big crossover event, when we get to the big, Avengers, whatever big event is next, Infinity War-esque event is next, I think Miss Marvel is going to be standing at the top of that pyramid, or, she's going to be standing at the top with a few others, but I think she's going to be one of the biggest standouts for the next few years. She did an absolutely incredible job, like throughout the entire series. I enjoyed her, and I enjoyed her family. That's the second element of this show that I really enjoyed. The culture aspect. It's very important, that the MCU is expanding and bringing in all these actors. It's very important that they bring in other traditions and cultures as well. And it's at least I thought it was very cool for, Pakistanians to have representation in this show. And I'm not Pakistani, but in my opinion, I thought they did a very good job of representing them. Like the traditions, the culture is fun. Kamala's family is another great element of this show. Her mom, her dad is absolutely hilarious. I loved everything about him. Her mom, I love their relationship, and I love how, we go from Kamala's mom being, the overprotective mother and always wanting her to be safe and things like that, to once she finds out Kamala has powers, they're all excited for her and they want to support her. Especially in the finale, like for the whole community to have Kamala's back. There was a good show in here somewhere, but I'm really gonna get to that in a second. I'm just gonna talk about what I liked. Kamala and her family were honestly the best standouts in this show. They were the best thing about this show. Other than that, it's an absolute mess, but I have one more element that I'm going to talk about I liked, and then we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of this thing. Okay, so the finale of this show was absolutely amazing. It highlights everything that was good about this show. Like I said, Kamala and her family. It highlights all of that, all of her friends. The main characters are very good. Essentially, the problem with this show is that it just has no story. My issue with the fact that, and this has happened for a while now, so I'm going to point out this kind of pattern that I'm picking up on here. Ever since Hawkeye, Moon Knight, and now Miss Marvel, they're giving us efforts in the first and the last episodes, but this in-between thing that we're getting here with this 6-episode format, they're being very lazy as to giving us layers, giving us a story, giving me something to essentially care about. I'll say this. Like I said, the finale was absolutely incredible. They look, the problem is that the finales are so good that they try to make you forget that, the last 6 weeks you've had with this show has been very inconsistent. And I can't let them get away with that. This finale tried so hard with the Captain Marvel intro and not the intro, but the appearance at the end credit scene, which I think is going to be very cool. I think that's going to be a very, whatever power that is, Carol Danvers transforming back and forth from Kamala, I think that's going to be a very cool thing to see in the Marvels. The X-Men 97 intro, that got me hyped. They decided to go the mutant way, so we got the X-Men coming in. There's some big surprises coming along the way. My thing is, I don't understand why I have to wait until the finale to get some sort of service, or essentially some sort of appreciation for the last 6 weeks, or I don't understand why I have to wait so long. This show, I really just want to go straight into my problems with it, because I have a lot of issues with the show, and I think it's honestly, it has a lot to do with this 6-episode format and the fact that I think Disney is just really phoning it in when it comes to quality at this point. I really think they're just trying to push out as much content as possible with all these shows and all these events going on. There's a lot going on in the MCU, and I feel like they're putting their emphasis in some parts of the shows, but then others they just they're leaving the show empty in a sense. So I'm just going to get to what I didn't like about the show. So as I've stated before, look, villains for me are a very big part of making a superhero movie, a TV show. They make a very big part in my enjoyment of the show. And the villains in this series absolutely suck. I can't stand any of them. This group that, Kamala is trying to essentially quote unquote help get back home until she finds out what happens when she actually tries to do that. That group was terrible. The mom, absolutely horrible actor. They made it so hard for me. That was another thing. This show made it so hard. I feel like this show should have just been put out in all 6 episodes. All 6 episodes should have just been released at once, because this show made it so hard for me to be interested in something for 6 weeks. After episode 3, if it wasn't for my Apple TV having the ability to remind me that I still watch this show, I probably would have forgot about it, because I was not interested in anything going on in this show other than Kamala and her family. Even in episode 5, they gave me a little glimpse of actually making her a compelling villain, but then she dies. So it's it's all just wasted. And then the damage control people, the agents, those are just, they're very underutilized. They don't even use the guy that runs the damage control agency. He played in Love Life. I don't know the actor's name. Love Life season 2. I thought he was underutilized. I thought he could have been used a lot more, because he's actually a very good actor. But there's just no villain presence in this show at all. It sucks. It's not there's one sort of death that happens. Kamala's asking for help from this group of red barons or bandits or whatever, and the leader of that group dies and something like that. And it's just none of that matters. It's I don't care about any of that. The episode 4 was an absolute dud. That's my problem with this 6-episode format. These middle episodes have just been, absolutely just dumb. I've seen it with the patterns. Hawkeye gave more of an effort in the middle episodes than, essentially Moon Knight and Miss Marvel have, but like I said, I'm starting to really sense a pattern here that we're only giving efforts in the first and last episodes, and then everything else essentially is just null and void at that point. We're not really giving much effort to making a complete series. We just want to make a great intro and a great finale. Like I said, Kamala and her family are absolutely incredible. She is going to be an absolute superstar as Miss Marvel. Like, she is going to absolutely kill it. I'm excited for her future in the MCU. I thought this was a great character piece for her, but that's the only thing good about this show is the character. Everything else is suffocating her. Like, everything else is absolutely just stupid. It's not interesting at all. It's not helping me. Not helping me, but it's just not. It's not helping me understand why I need to be interested in this show at all. Like, I really could have just watched. I really feel like I could have just watched maybe the first 2 episodes and then the finale, and I could have been good. Like, I didn't really need to know what happened with any of the other these side characters. I didn't know what needed to happen to any of the villains, because at the end of the day, none of it matters. Like, none of it matters. It's just not interesting at all. I gotta be honest here. Like I said, my binging experience with this show, I was not interested in all 6 weeks. Like, I honestly let the episodes build after episode 4. Like, I let episode 4 and 5 just build up. I watched those, and then I just watched 6, the next day or something like that. Like, I really let these episodes just build up. I really was not into, the 6 episode format is not working. At the end of the day, that's got to change. If they're not going to change it, I'm not sure we're really going to get everything we can get out of these shows. We're not really going to get the quality that we can really build on or essentially develop if you make these episodes longer. Like, we essentially just need more. Like, this show just needed more everything. Like I said, Kamala absolutely carried the show on her back. Like, she did everything she can to make this show as interesting as possible. The show itself is just absolutely boring. Now, like I said, I was on board with what they were doing in the first couple episodes. The whole stylistic kids thing, people were describing it as a Disney Channel show. Look, I don't know if you guys watched the trailer for these shows. I wasn't surprised at all of anything I got in the first episode. Like, I actually thought it was very cool. It gave me Spider-Man Homecoming vibes, or essentially, it gives me an idea of what Spider-Man First Class, that new MCU series. It gives me essentially, or first, I don't know what that series is called. I think it's called First Year or First Class or something like that. I know it's X-Men First Class, but that Spider-Man series that's supposed to be coming out for Disney. They honestly just, the show gave me those kind of vibes of what that would be like, but it's like they just do away with that after episode 3. Like, after episode 3, it gets incredibly boring, like suffocatingly boring. I don't care about anything going on. Episode 5 is probably interesting for the part of Kamala's family history, but it takes me 5 minutes to even figure out that that's what we're being introduced to, her family history, because episode 5 wanted to show an intro of a woman that I honestly couldn't even remember. Like, it was very hard to remember everything going on in this show because I really just couldn't care less. Like, and anything but Kamala made the show fun. Kamala really was the I can't say anything enough about this girl. She's an absolute phenom. She's going to be representing the MCU in a very phenomenal way for a long time, like a very long time. She's going to be an absolute stud. I am so excited to see this girl in action. This just was not the best introduction for her. Like I said, for me, she's the best character introduction we've gotten through these MCU shows so far. Like, she's the best superhero, as far as a character being introduced to us, this is the best character piece in the MCU shows. As far as a show standpoint goes, it's an absolute clusterfuck. It's just a mess. It's not necessarily all over the place with tones. It just has very dull villains. It reminds me, it gives me Thor 2 vibes. Like Thor and Jane are keeping us entertained somehow throughout this movie. So Kamala and her family are keeping me entertained throughout this show. But once I keep going back to this villain and we keep getting back to this very boring plot, it's a very by the book kind of origin story. It's not anything standing out. Like, Shang-Chi's origin story stood out for me. Like, it's nothing insane, and she honestly deserved a better show. She honestly did. Like, maybe season 2 will be a lot better. The Marvels is honestly going to be her time to shine. Like, everybody's going to see how awesome she is, and I can't say they're going to regret not watching Miss Marvel because there's not much to see here. Like, I just want to see. Like I said, I could have watched the first 2 episodes in the finale, and that could have been her whole growth for me. Like, just to see her powers come into fruition. Because the rest of it is just. It's just boring. It's suffocatingly boring. So overall, guys, Miss Marvel is one of the more average MCU Disney projects to me. Kamala, aka Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani, she is an absolute just. She's a masterclass. She absolutely killed it. Like, I had my thoughts planned out for this review before I even saw the finale. Like, I already knew the finale was going to be awesome, or I wasn't surprised when I saw people saying the finale was awesome, because they have delivered great finales in all these. But, like, that's the thing. Hawkeye delivered a finale where they're just setting stuff up. Like, Hawkeye is setting up Echo, and then the return of Kingpin and Daredevil, and then we got Moon Knight essentially teasing us with a third personality the entire show, and we don't get it until the end credits. And then you have Miss Marvel, which essentially gave us the best energy, the finale in Miss Marvel. This is the best finale in my opinion in the Disney show so far. Like, this is the best finale we've gotten. Next to my second favorite finale is probably Loki's with Kang, but this gives all the great energy that you essentially want from this show. And she, like I said, she makes sure that she's carrying this show as on her back, like, as much as she possibly can. It's just they're trying to fool us into thinking that we had such a great time these last 6 weeks, and I really can't let that slide. I know, who am I, right? No, I'm the guy in the chair. I can't let it slide. I don't understand why I can't have an entire whole show. Like, it's like I get half. I'm getting half. Like, this half is great. The other half is just no. The other half is just terrible. The 6-episode format is going to have to change at some point. I mean, I feel like that's where we're getting with this. Like, especially with Secret Wars. Like, if they do Secret Wars or Secret Invasions, or Secret Invasion, if they do that, and that's a 6-episode format, that either needs to be a movie length, a TV movie, or it needs to be released in theaters, because a 6-episode format is more likely not going to work for that, and I really don't want to see you guys just keep messing stuff up. But other than that, like I said, the show as a whole is very average. It's probably one of the bottom tier shows to come out. I can't be mad at people if they don't watch it, because I can understand, like, why they're not getting it. But for people that, I felt like when the show first came out, people just weren't trying to give it a chance. Like, I say at least give it a chance. See if something clicks for you. Because like I said, all 6 episodes are out now. So essentially, it's a way easier watch now than it was over the 6 weeks. Like, a 6-week format or episode by episode format was not the way for this show to go. It should have just released all 6 episodes. I know they're not going to do that, but that probably would have been better for it, because it was very hard to keep my attention through 6 weeks. Like, these were some very boring cliffhangers. I can't lie to you, but those are my thoughts on Miss Marvel, guys. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? What did you think of the mutant, route instead of the Inhuman route? I'm glad we took that route. Look, I've never even seen the Inhuman show, but I know that it was an absolute disaster. And I've never really been interested in the Inhumans at all. So I'm glad we're giving them the boot. We're making the X-Men, they're coming in soon. I'm excited for the X-Men. What are you guys' theories on what's going to happen in the Marvels? What is you guys' theory that's going to happen with the X-Men? Like, what do you think is next for Kamala and her family? Like, I hope I get to see a lot more of them, just with much, much better writing and a much better plot and a much better villain. Just make it better. Please, Marvel. Please help us, because you guys can make better content than this. But thank you guys so much for watching. Look, be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. This is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.